So a few weeks ago, I was at Street League up in Salt Lake City, and I ran into Vincent Milou hanging out with like Manny Santiago and Mariah Duran and their whole crew. And when I saw Vincent Milou, the first thing that came to my mind that I wanted to ask him about was how to frontside flip, because Vincent Milou, he can do like kickflip front tails or kickflip front lips, and both of those tricks use that frontside flip motion. Not to mention that he has like amazing frontside flips, but he's one of the only skaters that will frontside kickflip into things. So I wanted to ask Vincent his secret to doing frontside flips, and his answer was really interesting. In just a second, we're gonna get to what he said, and then this video is gonna be all about me trying to apply that tip, and hopefully by the end learn how to frontside flip. So if you like these videos, subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram at @TheLocalJoe. First thing we gotta do is just get warmed up for the day, so let's get a few tricks. Pretty happy with the warm-up tricks that I got today. However, I didn't want to skate too long before getting into these frontside flips, because at least for me, I know frontside flips are a trick that take a lot of energy to try. So I tried to keep the warm-up pretty to the point, and now we're ready to start learning some frontside flips. So first things first, let's listen to Vincent Milou and hear what he has to say about frontside flips. Hey, Vincent. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What's like your secret to frontside flips? Like I've done a few, but I get stuck like in the rotation.
You gotta, can I explain it? So you're a frontside flip, Manny.
Thank you.
Manny knows the secret too. All right, well, I'll put my foot, right in the middle of the tail here.
Okay.
To have a good pop. And when I flick, I make sure like how can I say it? You gotta go straight. You don't want to start going. You don't want to start going on the left. You want to start going straight.
Okay.
You pop same thing in the middle. You pop straight, and when you flick, you kind of wanna. You don't flick this way. You flick up, and you go all the way around with your front foot.
Oh, okay.
And what you do is you take your front shoulder and regular. You open your shoulder with your arm.
Okay.
You don't close it. You open. So you go straight, and then you do that, and then you open.
So you're saying that the shoulders go open, but you want to flick out and then
Exactly.
across.
You flick straight up and turn. Maria's
Okay.
listening. She's gonna get in front of it.
Yeah.
I do frontside flips, but I don't do them.
Yeah.
And then what happens is then it's gonna frontside flip, and then halfway you catch and you finish the turn. You bring when you catch it's the hardest pass. So this shoulder open, and when you catch, this shoulder's coming.
Okay. That's the other thing I feel like I struggle with is like getting the back shoulder in front.
You don't want to start with your shoulder open.
Yeah, you want to start close. You want
to start closing.
Right.
And as soon as you pop and your arm goes with your front foot, everything's open.
And do you put your foot like in this pocket, like
right in the middle?
Reynolds, like
no.
his trick tip is like
right,
that?
right here, in the middle, right here.
Just like an ollie? Same as an ollie. Okay.
Right in the middle.
All right. Well, I feel like that gives me something to like practice, something to try. So the main takeaways for me from Vincent Milou, what he was talking about, was number one, like he said, to flick out and then around. In the past, when I've tried to learn frontside flips, I've tried flicking straight like sideways. And in order to get the flick, when you're flicking across like straight sideways, you kind of have to flick down and mob it. But what Vincent says, rather than mobbing, kicking down, you kick really out and then across. And this reminds me of learning backside flips from Nigel Houston. The main thing I noticed him doing was his shoulders would rotate way in front of his hips. So basically his shoulders would be rotating, but his hips would kind of lag behind and do the kickflip flicking forward. So like his shoulders would be rotated like this and his hips would still be back here. That way he was still flicking out and then across with his backside flip. And that's the tip that helped me get backside flips, was actually thinking about this tip from Vincent Milou and applying it to learning backside flips from Nigel Houston. You just see his hips are just really delayed. And so that's what I'm gonna be focusing on in this video, is really delaying my hips, letting my shoulders, you know, throwing my shoulders open, but letting my hips kind of stay and flick out and then around, and then hopefully land that frontside flip. So first thing I'm gonna do is just warm up by doing a bunch of front 180s on the hip. Once I get comfortable with the front 180s and I feel like I'm doing that like out and around motion with the front 180, then I'm gonna go ahead and start trying to flip it. And yeah, let's see if we can get a frontside flip. This was the first frontside flip that I got. You'll notice that I'm frontside flipping on the hip and not on flat ground or out of a bump. And that's just because on a hip, you don't have to rotate the full trick. Now that frontside flip, I was somewhat happy with it. You can see I like really had to slide a lot of it, which I wasn't so hyped on. I want to be able to land them just like straight roll away, like how I do with my backside flip sometimes. So still a work in progress. So I decided I'm gonna go ahead and try and get a few more, and hopefully we can get a clean one. Okay, so after all of that, I landed 3 frontside flips on the hip. I think the first one ended up being the best one. I haven't looked at the footage yet, but just how it felt, I think that one was the cleanest. But I want to share with you guys what worked and whether or not I think Vincent Milou's tip of flicking out and around worked for me. So I'll just tell you right away, yes, like that out and around thing is absolutely crucial. So when I watched Andrew Reynolds' trick tip for frontside flips, he really emphasizes the scoop, and the kind of that pop and scoop is what shoves the board around to give it that rotation. With Vincent Milou, he doesn't talk about the scoop at all. He says it's all in the front foot, and that's what I personally found was the key for me, is the front foot kind of like forms the trick. So like with backside flips, you don't really like scoop your back foot to get the backside flip. You pretty much just pop it. And then with the rotation of the shoulders, you just kind of like flick out and around, and the front foot kind of brings the backside flip around. And it's the same thing that I found with the frontside flip. If I just thought of it like a kick flip, I would kind of just end up flicking off like to the right rather than out and around. And that out and around motion is really what helped me get the rotation to actually come around. Because for me, what was going on is each time that I would get like my shoulders in the right place and I was like ready to land the trick, I wasn't getting that flip the way that I needed it. And then vice versa, when I was getting the flip right, my shoulders weren't where they needed to be. So what I ended up just focusing on was, all right, like it's just a front 180, but really exaggerate this out and around and really make the board do the rotation by the way that you flick it with the front foot. So at least that's definitely what like really made it work for me, was focusing on the out and around flick rather than thinking of like Andrew Reynolds, how he says to like put it in the corner and like pop that corner. For me, that didn't help. That just made everything a lot harder. So Andrew Reynolds, I mean, he's obviously a beast at frontside flips, so I'm not disregarding what he's saying, but for me, what made the difference was flicking out and around and really focusing on throwing the shoulders and then keeping the hips kind of delayed and really flicking out and then around to get that board rotating so that you could land and roll away fakie. So hyped that I got 3. I wish I could have gotten more today. Overall though, I feel like it was a decent session. Unfortunately, it took so much out of me just to get these frontside flips on the hip. I wanted to try and frontside flip out of the bank and up the step up, but my camera ended up dying after I got the 3rd frontside flip, and so I don't know, it was just kind of it was a good day. Like I felt good on my skateboard, but ultimately just those frontside flips took so much out of me that I wasn't really able to get like a well-rounded session. I felt like I was really forcing the frontside flip to happen to get this video to be able to say, hey, Vincent Milou taught me how to frontside flip. So I feel like mission accomplished there, but I do want to be able to get this trick off the bump and then over the step up, and then eventually on flat ground, and also, you know, off the little drop. So definitely more videos to come about frontside flips because I feel like I'm just starting to get the hang of this. Let me know in the comments below if this was helpful, if this makes sense, or what made it click for you when you were learning frontside flips. But I hope you like this video. If you want to support the channel, you can get a Friday shirt. The link is the first link in the description. We're trying to make every single day a Friday. So if that's what you believe in, grab a shirt and start trying to live your life that way. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope this was informative, entertaining, or something. I hope you got something out of this video, but I will catch you in the next video tomorrow. Peace.